All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I'm coming here for another news update. It's remarkable and amazing. While we know that America is over there using Israel as a staging point to build up for the next conquest and empire building against Iran. Also, the whole world is also making the moves and putting its own personal sanctions against America itself. Now, what's amazing is that Japan and China have opted out of trading in the dollars. And then you have Russia and Iran that's trading in their own particular dollars. And then Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, he turns around and he goes to the Spanish nations down in Brazil. And he goes to Venezuela with Hugo Chavez, and they start doing trades and sanctions within their own selves. So I see that the departure and the end of colonialism is right at an end right now. So just the other day, I also got another report right here, and this comes from Zero Hedge right here. Look what it says. India joins Asia dollar exclusion zone, will transact, look at this, with Iran in rupees. Isn't that something? So a few weeks before it even came out into the so-called official news press, you know, because nothing is the truth unless the lying pundits over at the so-called news media puts it out first. And, you know, people can't take it as gospel truth unless the controlled news media puts it out first. But anyway, we already told you that Obama's going to ask for another $1.2 trillion. Can you imagine $1 trillion to add to and expand the national debt? But Zero Hedge reports right here. 2 weeks ago, we wrote in the past that should have made it all too clear that while the U.S. and Europe continue to pretend that all is well, and they do continue to pretend that all is well, and I'm telling you that all is not well. Not because I want to say that to frighten you or to make me sound like that I'm pessimistic. I really would love to be optimistic according to the situations that we're all facing here in this country. But the truth is we're flat out dead broke. We have nobody's even buying our bonds anymore. China is just continually unloading themselves of the United States debt. And it's just amazing. The people are not playing this game no more. The whole world is. They're sick and tired of being controlled by the United States of America, Great Britain, and Israel. But anyway, he says, 2 weeks ago, we wrote a post that should have made it all too clear that while the U.S. and Europe continue to pretend that all is well, they are somehow solvent. Asia has been smelling the coffee to wit. For everyone wondering how the abandonment of the dollar reserve status would look like, we have a hallowed men's reference, not with a bang, but with a whimper, or in the case of the whole series of bilateral agreements that quietly seeks to remove the U.S. currency as an intermediate. See, the rest of the nations in the world is engaging in economic warfare. While the U.S. is trying to go around and flex its muscles and power and might by blowing the hell out of all of these other countries and carrying on, you got the citizens in the United States of America who do not want these warrantless wars. You've got the people who actually control 1% of the wealth here in the United States of America, along with everybody else who's opted in to this wicked system who wants to control the whole world through military conquest and domination. And I'm telling you, you can tell right now that the United States is behind the military-industrial complex, and they don't really care one bit about what we the people say. But anyway, let me go on right here. Or in the case of such a whole series of bilateral agreements that quietly seek to remove the U.S. currency as an intermediate, such as the world's second, let's talk about China, and the third largest, let's talk about Japan economies, to bypass the dollar, engage in a direct currency trade. China, Russia dropped dollar in a bilateral trade. China and Iran to bypass the dollar, plan oil barter system. India and Japan signed a new 15 billion currency swap agreement. And now this, Iran, Russia, replaced dollar with real and ruble in trade, Far says. Today we add the latest country to join the Asian dollar exclusion zone. India and Iran have agreed to settle some of their 12 billion annual oil trade in rupees, a government source said on Friday, resorting to a restricted currency after more than a year of payment problems in the face of fresh, tougher U.S. sanctions. Y'all hear that? To summarize, Japan, China, Russia, India, and Iran, the countries which together account for the bulk of the world's productivity, and combined are among the biggest exporters and producers of energy. And now they have all partial bilateral agreements, and all of which will likely expand their bilateral agreements and this multilateral courtesy of Obama's foreign relations stance, which by pushing the countries into the corner has forced them to find an alternative U.S. dollar exclusion arrangements. But yes, aside from the above, the dollar still is the world's reserve currency. Now you have to understand, I'm adding some words in here in the Zero Hedge article to bring more clarity. If only in which it makes the calculations of how many imaginary money one pays in exchange for imaginary development world collateral. You know, it's what's disgusting and sad about this whole thing is that whenever they're asking for to expand the national debt by another $1.2 trillion, all they're doing is saying we're going to devalue the currency, we're going to devalue it. So we're going to buy what we call goods and services in order to make the country so-called quote-unquote function better. What the truth is, what they're planning on doing is empire building, is keep on empire building. I told you, my bookshelf is full of history books of ancient Rome and ancient Greece. Now, I've got plenty of other history books, but right now I've been really delving into those things because what I see taking place right now is the same exact example. We're following the same mistakes that those people made before. If you can look back into the eyes of history, you can clearly see what's getting ready to take place right here in our time right now. The past is our window to the future. And I'm sorry to say it, but this year is not looking too good. It's not looking too good for nobody, for anybody at all here in the United States of America. And it's so sad. We made so many enemies. And all the enemies and everything are wondering, okay, if you people, don't you got any power against your government? Don't you got any power of influence against them whatsoever at all? If you don't agree with what they're doing, why you continue to let them go around and rape, rob, murder, pillage, and tear up and just commit carnage and tyranny all over the planet. It's just ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous what's going on. I will tell you, world, that the American people, the whole of the American people, who the news media blocks out their voice. You see what they do. A soldier gets up and he talks about Ron Paul, and the first thing they do is they cut the tape. With the technology we got today, you know that they are liars. It's just a lie. And then the exclusion of Ron Paul in debates and stuff, that the people have to actually gotta boo and rise up and stuff because they can see that the powers that be are excluding him. And I told you these elections are rigged, every single one of them and stuff. And I know the reason why. And I'm glad that Ron Paul's staying there, because the longer he stays in there, the more people are gonna hear his message and they're gonna hear what he's saying and stuff that is the truth. But if you got Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney and all these other pundits that are still sitting up in there, these lies, these jacklegs, you can't expect no change in this country whatsoever at all. It's going to be business as usual. The same with Obama. Obama did. He said, we are change. And I tell you what, he has kept his word to the T, because you know what he done? He's made everything for the worse. He has changed everything for the worse here in this country. Now, the audacity for him to get up there and say he inherited this and then turn around and say that, you know, we got it from Bush. You can't be using that dead horse and beat that dead horse no more. You've expanded the debt. You have printed more money. You have put us more in hock to these other nations more than any president, all of them put together. And still asking for more. You think it's going to be any more change? No. And you black folks, you keep on being deceived. You keep on being deceived, trusting just because this guy got black skin that he's on your side. No, He ain't either. He's on the powers that be inside the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergers, and the Zionist Jews. And that's the truth, and that's the truth straightway.